Hey guys, welcome back to lesson number 7. So what I want to do for this week is to work on some tongue twisters. What we call them in English, they are words that sound very similar but are quite different. And these will help us with articulating certain words. Here we go. Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear. Fuzzy Wuzzy had no hair. Fuzzy Wuzzy wasn't fuzzy, was he? She sells shells by the seashore. I saw Susie sitting in a shoeshine shop. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? He would chuck, he would, as much as he could, and chuck as much wood as a woodchuck would if a woodchuck could chuck wood. Betty Botter bought some butter, but she said the butter's bitter. If I put in my batter, it will make my batter bitter. But a bit of better butter will make my batter better. This 'twas better Betty Botter bought a bit of better butter. So yes, these are kind of silly, but they really do help emphasize and differentiate words. So once again, we are going to work on the essay from last week. I will not repeat it in this video. You can look to other videos, but here are the words that I would like you guys to work on. Specific, photography, etch, photo engraving, Frederick Eugene Ives. Laboratory, photostereotype, half-tone, simplified, Ithaca, pictures, quickly, cheaply, creative, creativity. Once again, you can look at the previous video to help with the actual article. So here's an article from my website that we are going to work on. And I suspect we're only going to get the first couple paragraphs done, so I'll go ahead and read them now. I will still read the whole thing. In landscape photography, we are often bombarded with grand landscape vistas from well-known locations. In these shots, most are comparably the same, even though they are shot by different photographers. I, for one, am all for going to shoot these established locations, especially for the person that is just starting out. These well-photographed locations can provide an earmark of what the person should be looking for in terms of composition, light, and camera settings by simply studying what so many people have done before, and then try to replicate the composition for themselves. This is a formula that I myself have used when I first started in photography. The more the beginner goes to these locations and study the scene from which they have been shot before, the better understanding of the process of landscape or any type photography is gained. The downside of shooting these places, as one will quickly discover, is the high traffic you will experience. There is a reason that these places are shot so often. They are beautiful. Specifically, Since the whole Instagram influencer has become an aspiration of a multitude of people, these locations are seemingly becoming more and more crowded, almost to the point that these locations are becoming overburdened, and now the COVID-19 crisis is drawing even more people to these places. So, once you think you've got a good handle on your camera and photographic style, it is time to see what's in your local surrounding. For me, shooting local means any location within 30 minutes outside of town. But if you're into street or portrait photography, this could mean right outside your doorsteps. Having grown up on a farm in Michigan, I was mainly interested in nature photography, shooting fields and wildlife. Within 15 minutes of my house, I had large stretches of wheat, corn, and soybean fields. Having been a hunter for most of my life, I started to find myself visiting my deer blinds with my camera in tow. Many of the locations I first started shooting I had first-hand knowledge of, and as my understanding of light and composition grew, I began to look at these locations with new eyes. This is something that you can do as well. Maybe it's that old bridge across the stream that you always drove over, or the large field that always seems to have a great sunrise or sunset. With greater understanding of the photographic process, you'll learn how to translate these locations into share-worthy photographs. As you start to become proficient with locations that are within an easy drive, you can begin to expand your circle. Starting with a location only 10 or 15 minutes from your house, now it is time to start exploring locations 15 to 20 minutes out. I quickly learned just how useful online resources such as Google Maps, Earth, and Flickr were. Before going out and expanding your local circle, a quick look at Google Maps may yield old roads that you have never seen before. Maybe that you will be able to find a new perspective of that gently sloping hill or line of trees just outside the forest. In photography, anything is possible. Paying close attention to the weather is another idea to keep in mind as well. A great location can become dull or static if there is no sky interest to help tie in the foreground. A sunrise sunset with mid to high clouds will usually set off great golden hour light. An approaching storm can turn that flat, empty field or yard into an epic scene. A fun project that I have been working on is to find old, abandoned barns in my location here in Eastern Washington. For me, it has been great fun to try to find these rural sites that are only a few minutes drive down the road. Now that you have explored your local region, it pays to keep these places in mind. As the seasons change, so does the local landscape, and places that you have shot before and can now look dramatically different. So if you have found a spot you really like, keep in mind the next time you encounter some interesting weather or light. Being able to quickly get to a location and know exactly where to set up can be the difference between a portfolio-worthy shot or a missed opportunity. So that's a lot to take in. I'm trying to get this recording up and early to give you guys a lot of time to practice. We'll see you on Saturday or Friday.